Automotive industry in India is the largest automotive industry in the world. Today, at Hero MotoCorp, we produce more than 6.5 million two-wheelers every year. Now, for each OEM in India, there are more than 400 suppliers. So an OEM interacts with 400 vendors. Many of these vendors have their tier 2, tier 3 suppliers. So the entire automotive value chain comprises thousands and thousands of companies. AutoDX is a result of a joint vision between two bodies, SIAM and ACMA. SIAM is the automotive manufacturer's body, whereas ACMA is the component manufacturer's body. So we had this joint vision that can we ensure that all the data that gets exchanged between the OEs and the tier 1 and tier 2, or with other partners, can it be automated, can it be standardized, and over a period of time, can it really help us in improving the entire value chain in terms of productivity, in terms of cost efficiency, in terms of ensuring that all the duplicate work that happens across the value chain is eliminated. That's the vision that we had as part of SIAM and ACMA, this joint project being done. So we started way back in 2010, where we said that the first step should be to set up the standards for data exchange. So we did work with KPMG for a few months to set up these standards. The EDIFACT standards were put in for India. They're modified to ensure some of these things like excise and others, which are very specific to India, are also taken into standards. These standards were adopted by SIAM and ACMA. And we looked at technology partners who can help us in ensuring that these standards become a reality. We looked at various partners, and finally we saw IBM had a vision which matched with the vision of SIAM and ACMA. So over the last 2 years, we worked with IBM team very closely and came up with this solution which matches the needs of automotive industry. Various teams from IBM globally, whether it's a technical team or the business consulting team, worked very hard on this project to ensure that the needs of automotive industry in India are met, and they are mapped onto this solution. This solution is a cloud-based solution where we think that some of those companies which can't really afford to put in solutions on their premise can also benefit from this solution. The key advantages that I see from this solution: number one, it standardizes the entire data exchange. Number two, it reduces a lot of manual efforts of data reconciliation that happens today between OEs and the suppliers or the suppliers. It eliminates all of that. Number three, it reduces costs of transaction for both OEs and suppliers, and as automotive industry, we can then pass on those costs to our customers. So it benefits our customers also.
It's very important that the information flow process is taken very seriously and then addressed. Portal method is typically meant for a B2C communication, right? Where I as a consumer, go to a bank or to an e-commerce site and do a transaction. Whereas in the case of an auto industry, it's a typical B2B where a large volume of transactions are involved, right? But what has happened in many cases is, a portal has been given to a supplier and who has to log in and check various number of portals on a particular day. So the level of integration that's there between a customer and OEM is not that smooth, right? From a customer end, perhaps everything happens through the portal, whereas when it comes to the supplier end, there is a human that's involved in logging into the portal and handling these activities manually. It's not that humans cannot perform these transactions very well, but we have the technology available where we can eliminate these human processes, and the time has come to do that now. So the primary use case is the purchase to pay or the order to cash cycle. From whichever side we look from, either from a customer or a supplier side. And once the supplier receives these messages, they communicate back to the customer saying that I have received these schedules. So this is the very first part of the whole cycle. Then the supplier executes their internal activities, and when they are ready to ship goods to the customer, they send something called an advanced ship notice, which informs the customer that I've loaded these goods on the truck, they're on the way. In some cases, there is a logistics provider also involved in between, where they hold the goods and deliver to the customer on a regular basis. And then once the material is received at the customer end, the customer sends a receipt notice to the supplier saying that these materials have been received at my plant. And when they're ready to pay the supplier, they send the remittance advice, which says, I've initiated a payment and it's going to pay through this bank. So autoDX consists of two components. One is the data standard, and second is the electronic exchange. So let me describe each one separately. So the data standard. So what autoDX does is it has published standards for these various information exchanges that happen between trading partners. AutoDX also defines when a document has to be exchanged with a supplier. So schedules have to go on a JIT environment, perhaps on a daily basis, and invoices have to, for example, leave a supplier to a customer when the goods are actually being loaded onto the truck. Right? The information exchange that has been set up by IBM for AutoDX. So this exchange in a very, very simple form is like a information highway that is being established between these various companies. So if a supplier has many customers or a customer has many suppliers, through the AutoDX exchange, all these partners are all connected. So any information that flows from one end to the other is being delivered in a very secure and timely manner. Manual activity, this becomes a process-driven activity. So if a schedule is triggered by a customer, what we have seen is it gets delivered to the supplier end within a minute or so, and the supplier's internal activities can trigger automatically within India. So the benefits of AutoDX can be categorized into three things. One is the fundamental thing is it will bring down the transaction costs. Pure cost of doing these transactions goes down. In a survey that we did across the industry, in some cases the benefits were the cost reduction was as high as about 80%. And AutoDX brings a level playing field where SRM is typically not required for performing these sort of transactions. So there is a big savings involved for companies that are using SRM and also for companies that cannot afford to have SRM. We are talking about a typical purchase to pay and order to cash cycle, which doesn't require an SRM and which can be done through AutoDX. Thirdly, the real benefit comes not from transaction cost reduction or from reduction in technology investment. It comes in terms of productivity improvement. So if an information flow happens on a timely and accurate manner, a lot of benefits accrue to these companies. That's why if you look at companies in the West and perhaps in Japan, which are already have implemented EDI long ago, they have realized these benefits. So it's important that we do this in India as well. And that's why CM and ACMA along with IBM have come together to make this AutoDX available for all members of CM and ACMA and all other companies that are in the auto industry.
Today, a lot of OEs like Hero and others who have already started using this system. We started using this system, we have really found benefits. We started with some of the commercial documents like purchase order, invoice, delivery schedules, but our vision is that in years to come, any data exchange that happens by any member of automotive industry with anybody, be it the suppliers, be it government, be it design houses or any others, is standardized and put on this system. So that's the grand vision that all of us are working. Anyone in the OEs or in automotive component manufacturers who has not joined this AutoDX movement is requested to please join in ASAP. It's for benefit of that company. It is for the benefit of customers of that company and the entire automotive value chain.